Why, hello there. My name is Terrence Lockhart, and I'm here today to tell you why graveyards are a total waste of space, completely destroying our environment, and useless. Factually useless. We have so many alternatives, and yet they still build more. We have insights from city planners that tell you just how much of a waste and how much of a headache these have been for humanity. We even have history backing this up. We're here at the cemetery where my Uncle Bill was buried. It's usually in pretty bad shape, but they came out and at least mowed it for Memorial Day, I assume. There's usually grass up, you barely can see some of the graves, and you can tell these buildings are, not very well kept. Very unfortunate circumstance. But this is just an example of a cemetery that just takes up room for the sake of taking up room. We just had a kid come through on a dirt bike in here, which shows you how unused it is. Like, nobody even cares about it at this point. And it's just taking up this mass expanse. And that's one of the largest problems with cemeteries, is they take up massive amounts of land. They keep eating away at our land, tens of thousands of acres a year, by some estimations. And overall in the US, that adds up to hundreds of thousands of acres as a whole, which could be used as agricultural industry or forestry, or just preserving wildlife, if we could just move to the alternatives we have found, which are so much better. Stop. Two alternatives. You can be cremated. When it comes to the uses of ashes, instead of just throwing your loved ones into a river or spreading them along their favorite park, you can also get them laid into jewelry, like rings. People do that. They also turn them into diamonds, or you can even be turned into compost for a garden, or fertilizer for a tree to grow. Like, somebody could have been this tree's fuel to grow, but obviously this graveyard's not offering that service. So all these greater alternatives would reduce the need for all this land that keeps getting eaten away by the graveyard industry, which is a completely low employment rate industry. You have two to four, maybe six people taking care of a whole grounds, so it doesn't even bring jobs to an area. This is where my dead uncle is supposedly buried, and this brings me to my next issue, is the misplacement of families in graveyards. They tell you they buried him one place, but then there's just no evidence of them being buried there. A lot of times this happens when one side of the family gets control over where they're buried, and they'll stage a funeral, but you'll never find evidence. There's never a gravestone. You can't see a gravestone. That's not his gravestone. That's not his gravestone. So he's clearly not here. And that's just a big issue with graveyards, is us losing people. How do you even do that? But yeah, that's kind of the conclusionary issue with graveyards, and this has been the argument against graveyards and why they waste up a lot of our space.